Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 327 for December 19th, 2023. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the college football bowl season is underway. The Chargers have fired their head coach and their general manager, and the Black College Football Hall of Fame announced its class of 2024. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Oh my goodness. A week from today, well, a week from yesterday will be Christmas.
Yep.
It's upon us. And a week from now, we'll be talking about how the Lions will be NFC North champions for the first time in team history.
And I hope so.
God, I
They
hope
couldn't
so.
catch a break last night on that Monday night game. But
I'm glad Seattle won.
yeah, I am too.
That gives them a better path to get into the number 2 and possibly the number 1 seed in the playoffs. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'd rather the Lions put destiny in their own hands than relying on the Seattle Seahawks. Again, look how that did us this year. That's fine. We'll win the division. We'll do it on our own. Like Thanos when he gets the Infinity Gauntlet. Fine, I'll do it myself.
We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and the YouTube video, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @the World of Football. Use that in the YouTube search bar. You will also find other selected videos on our YouTube channel, like Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast, where their latest show is the Week 15 game against the Broncos. A little review of that, and I look forward to next week's game.
Yeah.
We also have our World of Football Power Rankings coming out probably later on tonight or tomorrow for Week 16, and our weekly picks video for Week 16. That'll be coming up tomorrow, I believe.
Yep.
All right, so let's begin today's show, and we're going to start with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right, everybody. It was Week 15 in the NFL, which means we have only 3 games remaining after this past weekend. And what a bunch of craziness that went on over the weekend. Starting on Thursday night, the Los Angeles Chargers fell to the Las Vegas Raiders 63-21. This was a game I don't know if you watched any of.
I did not.
But I watched the first Raiders touchdown, and I was like, oh, okay, the Raiders look pretty good, pretty solid. I turned it off, went back to playing some video games for a little bit. Then I get an update from the NFL app that says, the Raiders have scored 3 touchdowns and taken the ball away 2 times, and it's only the first quarter. I'm like, what kind of craziness is going on in this game? So I flipped it back over to the game, and one of the first plays I saw was the Raiders punting it, and then the returner for the Chargers had the ball stripped from his hands, and the Raiders got the ball back, and I was just flabbergasted at the amount of ineptitude that the Chargers seemed to be displaying without Justin Herbert under center. I mean, that whole team just looked so bad, and it was also, before we get to the really bad news for the Chargers, it was a scoreagami. This is the first time in NFL history that a game has ended with a 63-21 final score, which I like. Can't believe the Raiders only scored 63. I feel like they could have broke the NFL record. They were very, very close.
But
only 10 points away.
But that was the most points in Raiders history that they've ever scored also.
So that had to have been fun for them. But then not so fun for the Chargers, as they ended up firing head coach Brandon Staley and general manager Tom Telesco. So big changes coming to the Chargers, and now let the speculation begin. Is that where Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson's going to land if he does so decide to become a head coach next season?
Or Bill Belichick.
That's another name being tossed around.
Yeah,
I saw that Woodward Sports in Detroit, which I can't stand. Whenever I see their clips pop up, I just can't stand some of those personalities over there. Even though they've partnered with, they get Dan Miller on the show, which we love Dan Miller. Yeah. But one of the guys was like, boy, could you see the Chargers going to get Brad Holmes and bringing Brad Holmes to be their general manager because he's from Los Angeles? I'm just like, I want to slap this guy for like, nobody was thinking this. Not a single person except for you. And I just don't think Brad Holmes would leave for that job
I hope
to,
not.
to pretty much like start again
Yeah.
when he's got Detroit like
Yep.
doing what Detroit's doing.
Yep.
I don't see that happening. But
No.
regardless, the Chargers, for all the talent in the world they have, with one of the best quarterbacks they have, that organization has been a dumpster fire. And it's nice to see that it's different franchises and not the Lions.
Yeah.
All right. Then we had a triple header on Saturday, and I think all three games had elements of really fun, great watchability to them. I think this was a great triple header at the end of the day. The Bengals first get an overtime victory over the Minnesota Vikings, 27-24. This game had so many cool highlights from it. By the time I had tuned in, the Bengals had mounted the comeback, and they had that T. Higgins touchdown where he like caught it on the sideline and then outstretched his hand to go over the goal line for the touchdown, which was unbelievable. Heck of a play. And then in overtime, the Vikings couldn't convert a tush push to save their life. The Bengals got the ball back, went down, kicked the game-winning field goal to take that one. So thank you, Cincinnati, for beating the Vikings. That helped the Lions out.
Yep.
Did you watch any of that game?
Not too much. No, I don't think so.
Did you watch any of the games before the Lions game?
No, just the Lions game.
Okay.
Mainly.
Well, I watched a little bit of the Steelers-Colts game. It was all Steelers to start the game. I think they did start off 13-0, but then the Colts scored 30 unanswered points to finish that game, 30-13 in the Colts' favor. Gardner Minshew, throwing like his life depends on it. He's been looking good in the battle of the backups for that game. Actually, both those games had the battle of the backups. Vikings, Bengals, and then Steelers, Colts, all battle of the backups, and there's more to come, I believe. But the Colts looking pretty good. They're 8-6 with a backup quarterback. I mean, they might be a team to watch out for come playoff time. And finally, to cap off Saturday night, the Detroit Lions blew the doors off the Denver Broncos, 42-17. It was a nice bounce back game for the Lions.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, Kyle and I talked about it on Just Lying Around, but I haven't really talked to you. I haven't even seen you.
Well, like I said, Saturday, your mom and I were coming back from Kentucky, so it was a long day on the road, and we got home around 2:30 in the afternoon, and I was busy unpacking and everything, but watched mainly the Lions game, and I didn't expect it to be a blowout like that. I expected it to be a very close game. Maybe we might have to come from behind to win at the end, but it was nice to see them just really take it to the Broncos, and this is the way they should have been playing every week. In these last 3 weeks, if they had played like this, they'd have won all those games.
Right.
But they finally put it together. They finally got the fire lit under their butts and came out and did what they can do, and that's score lots of points. Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown and just what a game.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs and the other running back, Montgomery.
Montgomery had a good game. He wasn't talked about as much, but I mean, the Lions was between Laporta and Gibbs. That should shut up all the people who were during the offseason saying the Lions had one of the worst drafts.
Yeah.
And look what's happened.
Yep.
They have a tight end that's on the verge of being one of the top 2 Pro Bowl tight ends for the NFC. A Jahmyr Gibbs who has just got over 1,000 all-purpose yards between the 750 rushing yards and then the 200 something, whatever he's got receiving yards. I mean, the kid's been doing it all on a limited snap count too, I might add. I mean, he's still averaging averaging 9 yards a carry, according to Kyle. Kyle does all that research. But this is the team, and I said it on that show, this is the team we expect this team to be.
Right.
This is the team. When I get mad at the efforts we've had the last 3 weeks, it's because this is the team I see.
Right.
I mean, it didn't start off great. It was three drives of 3 and out, but the defense figured their stuff out a little bit, it seemed like. Because Denver ain't no slouch. They got playmakers on that Denver team.
Yeah.
You got Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, Sutton, their other, wide receiver. They got guys on that Denver offense that can make big plays. And the fact that the Lions defense was able to, hold them to only 17 points during that game. Granted, they probably should have got an extra touchdown in there for that one sequence that, even as Lions fans, we all got to say, I don't know what those refs were seeing.
Yeah, they should have slowed things down. I think that's what their coach was upset about, is that they kept, we didn't make it. Okay, let's run another play. if they had taken some time and
Well, that's on him.
let the let the replay take a look at some of those, they might have gotten a touchdown on one of
Or
those
if you would
plays.
have just thrown a challenge flag. I mean, if you
Yeah,
thought they were in and they're not going to call it, I'd be like, nope,
yeah,
I want to take a look at that because,
yeah.
yeah, I definitely think that
They were so close. All those
I
plays
think
were
they were
so
all
close.
scores pretty much. There might have been one that I was like, I could see where they'd call them just short,
Right.
but then there was a couple of them I'm like that looked over. Like, what are we doing? Even I'm like, this. So this is how it feels like for the refs to be on the Lions side. It's a weird feeling.
I like it.
I like it, but at the same time, I do feel bad for Broncos fans. I'm just like, dang, like you guys did get robbed of a touchdown right there. But then if you guys want to check out a fun video, that's Good Sports on YouTube. He's friends with like Tom Grossi. He's a Denver Broncos fan, and he did a live stream of the Lions game, but then he did a video called the new worst game ever, and it's about the Broncos losing to Detroit. I watched it the other night, but I fell asleep during it because I watched it like at bedtime. But it was amusing from what I saw of it. So go check that out if you're a Lions fan and want to just hear what the Denver Broncos fan thought about that game. But we're gonna move on because there was plenty more action on Sunday.
Yeah.
Carolina Panthers getting their second win of the season,
Yeah.
defeating the Atlanta Falcons 9-7. I don't think anybody picked the Panthers in our weekly picks.
No.
So the Panthers, what a pleasant upset that was. And boy, I'm sure the Chicago Bears weren't happy about that because then they lost their game to the Cleveland Browns 20-17. I don't know if you saw the play of that last second Hail Mary that bounced around and got intercepted by the Browns.
Yes, I did. I think I saw that live when it happened.
Because somebody took a picture of the ball being in Daryl Mooney's hands while he was laying on the ground in the end zone and said this ended up being a game-ending interception. If you just see a frame with the ball in his hands on his chest, you're like, how? How could that possibly have ended up as a game-ending interception for the other team? Unbelievable. I mean, the Bears had played tough, and they played the Browns tough.
Yep.
But this Browns team with Joe Flacco now at quarterback, who was raking leaves just 2-3 weeks ago, now playing quarterback in the NFL again. Watch out for the Browns. With that great defense, they could be a team to sneak on some teams in the playoffs if they make it. Another team, how about this team sneaking into the playoffs? It looks like even as a division winner, if they get it, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating the Green Bay Packers 34-20. Baker Mayfield just has found second life in Tampa. I don't know what it is. I just think I like him right now in Tampa. I don't know what it is. He's got a couple great weapons. He's playing very good. And to follow up Tom Brady is no easy task. I'm not saying he's looking like Tom Brady, but he's doing just enough, keeping this team at 7-7 at the top of their division, tied with the Saints. I'm not sure who's got the tiebreaker there, but I think right now Tampa does. But right there on the cusp of they could get into the playoffs with Baker Mayfield as your quarterback. I think that's a pretty astounding feat for them. And thank you, Tampa, for knocking down the Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely.
Taking them to 6-8. So essentially, the Minnesota Vikings being the only team in Detroit's way of getting an NFC North championship. And luckily, that's who we play this week.
Yeah.
The Miami Dolphins blanked the New York Jets 30-0. Just absolute embarrassing. I believe they said that the Dolphins scored 17 points before the Jets even got a yard.
Yeah.
If that's a real stat, I think I saw that somewhere.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy there.
But the best thing about that loss is that I guess from what you said, now Aaron Rodgers is not going to come back this year.
Yeah, he was like, I guess he was on the Pat McAfee show earlier today and said something like, "Oh, I don't think I'll be ready for another few weeks. I'm not 100%."
Yeah.
Yeah, gee, the moment your team's eliminated, now you're not feeling so good.
Yep.
Okay. This guy just knows how to keep his name in the media cycle.
He's just an attention.
Him and Brett Favre had that down. God, I hope Jordan Love doesn't turn into that. I just hope Jordan Love doesn't turn into anything.
Right. Yeah.
But then you had the New Orleans Saints defeat the New York Giants 24-6. The Tennessee Titans lost to the Houston Texans 19-16. But the fun thing from this game, the Tennessee Titans wearing their Houston Oilers uniforms while hosting the Houston Texans. Talk about a little bit of a troll job. Kind of bit them in the butt as the Texans got a win.
It's Houston. Who's winning? Houston.
Houston's winning. But I think even Mike Vrabel came out wearing the cowboy hat.
Oh yeah,
it was just kind of cool.
Bum Phillips, yeah.
Yep. So that was pretty neat, and it was cool seeing the Houston Oilers against the Houston Texans. That was a cool look.
Even the stuff along the sides of the stadium.
Yeah, all the dressing they do.
Tennessee Titans stuff up there. Yeah.
Houston Oilers stuff. Yeah, they really. I like it. I like that they commit and go all out with the vintage stuff.
Right.
Makes you wish that the Lions would do something like that for Thanksgiving, but they don't.
What? The Portsmouth Spartans?
I mean, not that. I'm just saying, like when they wear their plain silvers, like I'd like to see
Oh,
the throwback logo
yeah.
on the field. Like all
Yeah.
these other teams, like the Eagles, when they wore their throwbacks, they got the classic Eagle logo on there. Like they go all out. Like I don't see why Detroit can't, especially now that Detroit's apparently jacking up their season ticket cost by like
Oh, yeah.
80%.
Yeah.
Haven't even won a playoff game yet, and they're already jacking up their
Yep.
season tickets for next season.
That's
What a
potential.
bad look. What
That's
a bad
potential.
look.
They have potential now.
I just wanted to throw that
Now
out
you
there.
wouldn't need to pay more.
Yeah. And let's see. We did miss one story from a game, but we'll just talk about that one in the news segment then.
Okay.
Let's see, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the New England Patriots 27-17. I believe they said this was one of the first times that two head coaches did Andy Reid get 300 wins? There was some milestone because it was Andy Reid
I
and
think it was a combination of the two
yeah,
coaches
like the most wins between
having
two.
over 500 wins between the two of them. Something
Yeah.
like that, I think.
It was a crazy stat there. So that I mean, I always like seeing two great head coaches go up against each other, and Andy Reid and Belichick are that. They are essentially the definition of two great coaches. The 49ers defeated the Arizona Cardinals 45-29. I believe that helped them clinch they won their division after that game.
Who was that?
The 49ers. I think they won the division because of that.
Well, actually,
Or did they win it last
they
week?
won it by a loss on Saturday.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so they were like the first one to get a playoff spot, but they hadn't even played yet.
But they also got the division too at the end of the day because they got all the cool merch in their merch store. The Los Angeles Rams kept their playoff hopes alive by defeating the Commanders 28-20. Matthew Stafford looking great out there as usual. Then you had the Buffalo Bills just absolutely trounce the Dallas Cowboys 31-10. We kind of saw this one coming on our weekly picks video. It was a sweep. We all picked the Bills.
Yeah, I was you two picked first, and you both picked the Bills, and I was really torn. I wanted to pick the Cowboys, but I kind of went with you guys, and I'm glad I did because I was so happy to see that.
Yeah.
I did not expect that to happen.
And despite the loss, the Cowboys also one of the teams that ended up clinching playoff spots along with the 49ers so far. And we're going to talk about the other two teams here in a second. The other one being the Ravens, who defeated the Jaguars 23-7 on Sunday Night Football. The Ravens clinched a spot, and I believe they clinched the AFC North with their win over the Jags 23-7. And then on Monday Night Football, the Seattle Seahawks upset the Philadelphia Eagles 20-17. But I believe the Eagles already clinched a playoff spot too that weekend.
Yes, I think
due to other games and actions. Like we talked about earlier, the Lions would have clinched the playoff spot had the Eagles won.
Right.
But I'm okay with them not getting it this week. It's fine. We can wait.
Yep.
We've waited long enough. We can wait one more week, Lions fans. But that is it for the World of Football scoreboard. But real quick, eliminated this week, the Patriots, Jets, Panthers, and Titans have currently all been eliminated from the playoffs.
Yep. That should do it for
all right. So now we throw it over to Randy, who's we're going to talk about bowl season over in college football.
Bowl season, yes. Bowl season is now underway. That'll start it out on Saturday with, let me see, 4, 5, 6 games on Saturday. We had the Myrtle Beach Bowl, which saw Ohio defeat Georgia Southern 41-21. In the New Orleans Bowl, it was Jacksonville State over Louisiana 34-31 in overtime. In the Cure Bowl, it was Appalachian State over Miami of Ohio 13-9. In the LA Bowl, it was UCLA over Boise State 35-22. I don't know if you saw the video of Gronk singing the national anthem with
I did not.
People.
I try to avoid all Gronk videos if I can.
Well, he did. I thought maybe he was singing it all by himself, but he was just like one of 5 people that were up there singing. But it still sounded like he was off key and did a terrible job himself. But yeah, that was because wasn't it the LA Bowl
hosted by Gronk,
featuring Gronk or something?
Yeah,
like
that's
that?
his bowl.
Whatever. Let's see. The New Mexico Bowl, Fresno State over New Mexico State 37-10. And in the Independence Bowl, it was Texas Tech over California, 34-14. Monday night, the famous Toastery Bowl. This is what the Bahamas Bowl is this year. But it was Western Kentucky over Old Dominion, 38-35 in overtime. And there's another game tonight. The Frisco Bowl is going to be played tonight between the University of Texas at San Antonio, the Roadrunners, against Marshall, and that game's going to be at 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN tonight. All right, now let's go down to the FCS level. They had some semifinal playoff games. They also had the Celebration Bowl between a couple of HBCU teams. Florida A&M defeated Howard University 30-27. And in the playoffs, it was South Dakota State shutting out the University of Albany 59-0. And I guess this was the 28th straight win by South Dakota State, obviously going back to last year. Let's see. And in the other playoff game, it was Montana over North Dakota State 31-29 in overtime. Montana stopped a 2-point conversion
Mm.
in that second overtime for the win. So moving on to Division Two. In the Division Two championship game, it was Harding over the Colorado School of Mines 38-7. That game was played in McKinney, Texas. Division Three, the Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl, the Division Three championship game. Cortland over at North Central of Illinois 38-37 in Salem, Virginia. Cortland also stopped a 2-point conversion by Colorado School of Mines for their win as well. And in the NAIA championship game, this game was played on Monday. Keiser over Northwestern 31-21 in Durham, North Carolina. And in the National Junior College scores, it was the Division I championship game where number 2 Iowa Western defeated number 4 East Mississippi 61-14 in Little Rock, Arkansas. This was the third national championship game for Iowa Western, and their second straight. They won in 2012, and they also won in 2022 and now 2023. Finally, thanks to our man in Japan, Greg James, he reported to us that in the Koshien Bowl, the college football national championship game over there in Japan, the Kwanzai Gakuin Fighters defeated the Hosei University Orange by the score of 61-21. And this was the sixth straight title for the Fighters. They're also the team that you may remember won the rock, paper, scissors tiebreaker a few weeks ago to get into the playoffs, and now they've got their sixth championship because of a rock, paper, scissors. And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. All right, so now we're going to move on to NFL news. Big news this week. NFL owners unanimously voted to award Super Bowl 61 in 2027, surprise, surprise, to SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. That's no surprise to anybody. Now that brand new stadium is out there, they're going to use it all the time.
I mean, it looks gorgeous. They clearly put on a great show there. And I mean, that might be your new Superdome, because the Superdome seemed to have gotten it every 5 years, but now they got this nice shiny SoFi Stadium.
Well, this is just a 5-year turnaround because they hosted Super Bowl 56 just 2 years ago, and so now I guess the shortest turnaround was a 3-year turnaround. I forget what stadium.
It had to have been like a Miami or somewhere, one of those warm weather towns.
Yeah, I read it, but
and we're still waiting in Detroit to get our second one, and that was Super Bowl 40.
Yeah, but yeah, of course you know Las Vegas and LA, those new stadiums, those are going to be the go-to stadiums at least for a while, until the newness wears off of them.
I'm hoping with the NFL draft coming to Detroit this summer, and if everybody shows out for that, maybe that could be another way to go, hey, look at all those people that turned out for the draft in Detroit. Well, shoot, maybe we should go back and give them a Super Bowl, especially if Detroit stays a playoff team. Like, maybe we can give Detroit a Super Bowl again. Like, I think that'd be totally great. I thought that year that we hosted the Super Bowl at Ford Field was awesome. And I think now that Ford Field has gone through some renovations, I think it'd be worth, it's not going to be as glamorous as SoFi or Allegiant Stadium or US Bank Stadium up there in Minneapolis, but Ford Field has got its own stinking personality to it that I just absolutely love. And I think I've heard a lot of visiting fans, even like we've watched videos of other people, like a Raiders fan who came to the Lions game. We watched one of his YouTube videos. I've seen other fans, like when they come to Ford Field, they actually have a good time, and like, this is actually a really cool, got unique atmosphere. So give it to Super Bowl. Super Bowl 62.
Yeah, it's not a stadium that a lot of people will go out of their way to travel to. But the ones that do, they come here and they go, hey, this is pretty darn nice.
And especially now that they've kind of redone a whole lot of that downtown area there, made it a lot more like walk friendly, and like there's so many more bars and restaurants,
a lot of things in walking
cool
distance,
places within walking distance. Yeah, like even when we were there for that last Lions game, there was more stuff that I even remember down there that was appealing to just walk around and check out. So that bring it to Detroit with Weird Al as the halftime show.
Absolutely, yes. Now let's see, in another story, something we talked about last week, it's now been confirmed by the NFL. Brazil will be hosting a 2024 regular season game. The rumor was when we talked last week that it was going to be a week 1 game,
Right.
but they just confirmed that they will be hosting a game. They didn't say when or who
Yeah.
or anything like that. But
So
there
I
will
say
be a
that's
game in
probably still
Brazil,
on the table, especially if they were saying what in Brazil, their season's a little different. So like,
right? Because they're south of the equator. They're
so that I think that tracks. So that report I would say tracked pretty well, and I would say still take it with a grain of salt that it could be week 1. But right now, if I were to be a betting man, I'd probably say I'm going to follow that report, and it'll probably be an early week 1 to maybe week 3 type of game they'll
hmm,
put down there.
hard to say. All right, another story from the NFL. Pittsburgh Steelers safety Demonte Casey has been suspended by the league for the rest of the season after a hit on a defenseless player, wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. of the Colts, in a game that was played last Saturday. Casey is a defender or repeat offender of this type of penalty, so
Yes,
that's probably why they're giving him a little
yeah,
stiffer penalty.
it's like, people at work were watching that and like, "Oh, do you see that hit?" And then, like, you find out he's suspended, like, "Wow, he got suspended the rest of the season for that?" And when you find out he's a repeat offender,
Right.
this is what the league tends to do. Like, "Hey, look, you've done it multiple times. We gotta
Right.
get you out of there for the rest of the
I
year." So
hadn't seen the hit until today. When I
it's
was looking up, the details of this, because you were the one that told me add this to the rundown,
yeah.
and I was doing some research. I actually saw the video of the hit. And I'm
I
like,
watched that live.
that's pretty
It was
bad.
pretty bad. Like, I get like, but to me, watching it live, I was like, "Yeah, you led with the helmet." I didn't think it seemed as egregious as like maybe it got blown up to be,
Mm,
but still,
that's pretty
you
bad.
just can't lean with a helmet. It almost like then in the Lions game, that one uh guy who tackled the Lions punt returner
Oh
for
yeah,
the guy waved off,
yeah. He didn't
the,
see he
the
didn't
fair
see the
catch.
fair catch
Yeah, but you
call.
watch that replay, yeah, you could see him watching the ball and not the guy, so you could
Right.
almost dismiss it, but you just gotta,
Well, I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often. I
right?
mean,
You'd think.
unless you're looking at the guy that's catching the ball your entire time, a lot of these times they throw a hand up so quick that even I don't see it.
Unless
And
somebody shouts something and they hear it,
yeah,
because we don't hear any of that on the field when
right.
we watch it on TV. But
Maybe the referees should blow a whistle when they call for the fair catch, just so that people will know or
right,
do something. I
like a
don't know.
special sound, because if the guy muffs it, oh, then it's live. Like
Right? Yeah.
so, like because you don't want to whistle because then that's the play over. But maybe like get an air horn.
Yeah.
But and then there was one other one I was going to ask you if you saw. Oh, that scary injury to that Ravens running back. We didn't even talk about that. Did you see that?
I don't think
Guy
so.
was running, and the way his knee buckled the complete opposite direction
Oh
it's
no, I
supposed to be.
didn't.
Oh yeah, I saw that replay, and that I don't know if that dude's season. I mean, his season's got to be done. But I don't know if that's a career ender. But yeah, the way to see his knee buckle like that, where it's going in the opposite direction, like you're a emu or something, and your legs bend the other way.
A flamingo.
Humans can't do that. So that was a scary thing. I saw that, and it gives me the creeps just thinking about it.
No, I did not see that one.
Uh,
Like I said,
I'll find it. I'll show you.
I was pretty much out of it from anything before Saturday night, as far as
Well, this was a
football
Sunday
went.
night game,
Was it a
so
Sunday
yeah, it
night
was the
game?
Ravens Jags game.
Yeah, I don't think I watched a whole lot of that. All right, let's see some CFL news. The 2024 schedule has been released. The preseason is going to begin on Monday, May 20th. The regular season will begin on Thursday, June 6th, with a rematch of last year's Grey Cup game between the Montreal Alouettes and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The regular season ends on Saturday, October 26th, after 21 weeks, and each team will get 3 byes during the season. And the 111th Grey Cup game will be on Sunday, November 17th in Vancouver. You
Yeah,
want to go to that?
I saw they already released the Vancouver logo for the Grey
Yeah.
Cup, so let's do it. I'm
Well, we're going
in.
to have to get our passports
Let's do it.
up and
Let's
running.
fast track it.
Have to go down to
The
the
world of
drugstore and
football
get
goes
our.
to the Grey Cup.
That would be a lot of
I'm
fun.
down for that.
Me too. Me too. All right. What were you looking up? Was
Oh,
there something you wanted to
I was
mention?
just looking up stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to some college news. The Kansas Jayhawks could be playing their home games this upcoming season at Arrowhead Stadium due to renovations going on at their home stadium.
Hmm.
It's not a certain thing, but that's something that they're talking about because playing their regular season games there and doing these renovations at the same time could slow things down. So they just want to get the renovations done. So they're possibly looking at other places to play their games. Arrowhead Stadium is one of them. I guess the stadium that they're playing now is going under $448 million in renovations. So
Man,
that's nothing to sneeze at.
no,
If it's going to last longer, it might cost them more. So um, that'd be interesting to see them play at Arrowhead Stadium. We'll keep an eye on this and see if that actually turns out to be true or not. And the Black College Football Hall of Fame class of 2024 was announced. And if you want to see the people in there, you just go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They have a whole section devoted to the Black College Hall of Fame with all their inductees and everything. It's a pretty cool display. But this year's inductees are Joe 747 Adams, who played at Tennessee State, Antoine Bethea, who played at Howard University, Wayman Bryant of Tennessee State, Kevin Dent of Jackson State, Richard Huntley of Wisconsin-Salem State, Lamar Parrish of Lincoln, and Coach Eddie Hunt of Morgan State. So congratulations to all those gentlemen for their selections into the Black College Football Hall of Fame.
heck yeah,
And like I said, go check out that display at the Pro Football Hall of
yeah.
Fame in
I
Canton.
think that's a great display. I
Yeah.
think it's really, really well done. I think it could be a little bigger. They got some work to do, but I like that that's part of the Hall of Fame there.
The Hall of Fame is always under construction somehow. I mean, they're always updating displays and adding new things and whatnot.
But when they did that whole room, that whole area that they dedicated to that stuff is very nice. I like strolling through there and checking out a lot of the guys and recognizing a lot of the names that ended up in the NFL playing with teams I've watched.
Yeah, that's where the USFL display is also down there, and it's like down a hallway just off of where the gift shop is.
Yep.
So if you're heading to the gift shop, there's like a hallway that goes off to your right, and it's down that way. And, we looked all over, we couldn't find it because we were looking for the USFL display there a couple years ago.
That's like downstairs. You got to like veer to the right, and it goes downstairs a little bit.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of downstairs. It's down a hall, then you take a few steps down, and it's like on a lower level. But it's worth looking up and finding. Okay, some arena football and indoor football news. Various Arena Football League teams are beginning to release their updated schedules that vary from the original schedules that were announced when the league had their news conference a month or so ago. Now they're actually putting dates and times to some of these games.
Some teams are putting out the actual times. A lot of them just have the dates, and the matchups are slightly different. Like the way their schedules are laid out. Like for example, when we'll talk about the Iowa Rampages opening. We'll just do their opening like 4 games right now. They were supposed to open at Billings, then at Southwest Kansas, home against Georgia, and home against Salina. And it turned into just swapping now the Marshall. They will go to Rapid City to open the season. They will still go at Southwest Kansas, home against Georgia, home against Salina. Then they were supposed to play the Regulators twice in a row, week 5 and 6, like at Wichita, home against Wichita. But that they changed that. I think they swapped those around. Nope, those ones stayed. Yep, they swapped them around. So the road game becomes the home game, the away game becomes. So it's just slight tweaking of the schedule. But to me, it's like if you knew, there was a possibility that a lot of this stuff was still gonna be in flux, and maybe you'd have to swap a week 1 game or move something around. Wouldn't you? What was the big difference of waiting for that big? You've spent all that money to do a big New York. Announcing all this stuff, and they didn't even announce the schedule at this event. They just threw this up on Twitter,
right?
And now here we are, middle of December. Like, why couldn't we have waited till now to get the schedule? What was the rush to get the schedule out there? If it was going to be that much in flux,
we didn't know that when they put all these schedules out a month or so ago that these were just like placeholders. What was it? Philadelphia? It looked like they were a traveling team because they didn't have any away games.
Still
supposedly.
haven't heard that yet.
Yeah,
any confirmation from that?
Yeah,
but
yeah, I mean, it's another thing that kind of makes the league look bad right now, and they don't need that. They need to be better than that.
And some schedules, even like the Rapid City Marshals schedule here, have a to be determined opponent for a preseason game on April 20th. So I haven't heard anything about them doing preseason games.
I hope it's not a non-league game because I know a lot of those teams, when they were in the CIF or whatever league they came from before, they would play non-league opponents every now and then, kind of like a tune-up game or something.
Right.
They had a bye week or something, and they throw in an opponent from who knows where. But yeah, that makes the Arena League look bad also if they're going to play a non-league team in a exhibition game or
Yeah,
something.
because I looked at this. The Salina Liberty's schedule has an April 13th scrimmage with the regulators. A scrimmage is different.
Sure.
But yeah, Rapid City has a preseason game at home marked off on the 20th of April to be determined opponent. The Southwest Kansas Storm also have a preseason to be determined April 20th game
Hmm.
on their schedule, which if you look up the Southwest Kansas Storm's schedule that I assume was released on their official thing, it looks like a bad Microsoft Paint job. It looks so bad.
Hmm.
The fake lightning in the background, it literally looks like they just copied and pasted pictures and used Microsoft Paint to build this ad for their football team schedule. It looks so bad.
Hmm.
When you can go out and I'm going to plug the thing we use. We use Canva. I love using Canva for making a lot of our graphics and stuff.
Hmm.
And boy, oh boy, why don't you spend the $15 a month to use Canva Arena Football League teams? Because yeesh, there is some bad looking, uh, put together schedules for some of these teams. I mean, good. And then like the Nashville Cats just released a Word document. I mean, shoot, I'm just like they wrote it in their phone and just, oh, here we go. Here's our schedule, everybody.
Jeez.
So I don't know. Like this is just, it's probably not that big a deal. But it's another one of those things that's going to bug me about this version of the Arena Football League.
Hmm.
Like, man, I get it. Every team's going to do something slightly different,
Right.
but why can't there be a level of consistency across everybody? Why couldn't the league have waited till now to release their schedule? Like, it's just,
Hmm.
we could have waited. What was the difference between a month ago and now to put their schedule out? Yes, we were all thirsty. We wanted a schedule.
Sure.
But if you knew there was still some plates up in the air, stuff to still be determined, why even put out a schedule that's going to change a month down the road? Like, and I'm wondering if it'll change again before the start of the
Yeah,
season.
who
Like,
knows?
it's
Who knows?
like I said, I criticize because I care so much about this league. It's
Yes.
like when I criticize the Lions. I love this team so much, but man, I will be the first one to criticize them for not being living up to the potential I think they can be at, and
Right.
that's what I feel like about this version of the Arena League.
Hmm.
But again, we'll wait and see. But this just goes. That's another thing to add to the uh, disappointed column,
Hmm.
I guess, of my thoughts on the Arena League.
Yeah, and I was in Nashville, Tennessee last weekend, and I didn't realize how close it was to some of our friends in Kentucky. It was like an hour away. Nashville
Oh, so
is.
you're saying drop mom off at her friends, and then
There
we
you
go to
go.
the arena game?
There you go. We could do that. Um, so yeah, it
That's a
would
great husband right there. Just thinking how we can ditch the wife,
it would be
kick her out
nothing.
of a rolling
It
van.
would be nothing for us to stay in Bowling Green, Kentucky, drive down to the game for an hour, and then after the game, come back there for an hour and go
It's
back
like
to our
driving to
hotel.
Grand Rapids.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So yeah, we're definitely talking about going to a game in Nashville, Tennessee, and possibly a game in Minnesota.
I would love to do both. Yep, that'd be great.
I'd be up for it.
Man, we're
I don't have a job to go to.
let's
I'll
see.
go to any one of
An
them.
arena game in Nashville, an arena game in Minnesota, going to the Grey Cup in Vancouver, maybe a CFL game over in Toronto.
Yeah.
Football year for us. You know, maybe a Lions playoff game
Oh my
in our
gosh.
future. I don't know
Yeah.
if Aaron said something about buying tickets as soon as it happens. So could we be going to a Lions playoff game? It could be a heck of a year for the world of football, and it's not even January yet.
Get your passports ready. It's almost football season again.
But didn't football season just end last week? Yep, and it started back up already.
That's right. All right. Let's see. Peyton's Places. Another episode dropped on Sunday. This was episode 9 of season 4. It was called The Land of Boz, and they talked to linebacker Brian Bosworth, who played for the Seattle Seahawks many years ago. What I didn't realize is he only played 25 games in his career.
The name sounds very familiar.
Yeah, he had like the mohawk haircut and like shaved sides, and he gave himself an earring. He pierced his own ear for an
Oh,
earring, and just he was a manly man.
a manly man.
Put it that
I
way.
was going to say a lunatic.
But supposedly, according to this thing, he got injured in the last game of the season. He injured his shoulder, and he was never quite the same the following year. So, he, like I said, 25 games. But after that, he went on to be a Hollywood actor, and he actually made 17 movies. So he actually made as many movies as he had games in the NFL.
Dang.
But it was very interesting. They were in Denver. I didn't know that they had a miniature version to scale of their old Mile High Stadium, which
Hmm.
is like next to the actual stadium. So, so they're in this little miniature stadium talking about this and that, and it was just so weird. But it was pretty cool. I didn't know that anything about that. But yeah, the whole show was just him and Brian Bosworth talking about their various careers, and
Interesting.
it was very, very interesting. It's worth watching. So once again, Peyton's Places, season 4, episode 9.
See, at some point we should just do a YouTube video of you ranking your favorite Peyton's Places episodes for the season.
I wouldn't mind going back and watching them all again.
There you go. You know
I
what?
just
I'm gonna you do it. I will edit that video. Randy's ranked episodes of Peyton's Places.
there you
It could
go.
be a
Maybe we'll get on.
5-part
Maybe
video.
we'll get on the Manning cast.
Oh man, he probably
for
will.
that. All right. Today's birthdays, December 19th. We have 3 Pro Football Hall of Famers to highlight. The first one is quarterback Bobby Lane, born on this date in 1926. He passed away in 1986 at the age of 59. That seems kind of young.
Right.
But yeah, he was a hard drinking kind of guy, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Again, a great episode highlighted by Peyton Manning
That's
about Bobby
right.
Lane.
That's right.
That was a good one. Is that number one?
Right now, it
Spoiler
could be.
alert.
He played his college football at the University of Texas, selected in with the 3rd overall pick in the 1948 NFL draft by the Chicago Bears. He played 15 NFL seasons. He played 1 season for the Bears in 1948, and then he played for the New York Bulldogs in 1949. Then he became a Detroit Lion, where he played from 1950 to 1958, winning 3 NFL titles. And then he was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1958 and played for the Steelers through 1962. He was inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1967. Now we were in Pittsburgh
Yeah.
that summer, and
I forgot, man. This whole year's been so packed full of stuff. I forgot we even went to Pittsburgh this year.
Well, we're going to be doing a year in review probably next week for our last show of the year.
Oh.
Where we're going to talk about all the stuff we did. But we went to Pittsburgh, and he is in their like Steelers Hall of Fame.
What did they call it? Yeah, it had a name.
Yeah,
I forget
it's
what
not
it
really
was.
the Hall of Fame, but it's like the Lions have the Pride of the Lions, where they put their
Yeah.
names up on the wall in the stadium, and so Bobby Lane's there, but
Yeah,
he's
what was that called?
also there with the Steelers, where they had the steel football for everybody. We got
Yeah.
pictures taken by his display, and so it's just kind of cool to see him be on the the best players of the team for 2 different teams. But let me continue while you're looking that
Yeah, I
up.
don't think I have a picture of it in my phone.
Okay.
You're good.
Defensive end and defensive tackle Reggie White, born on this date in 1961. He died in 2004 at the age of 43. That's awfully young too.
Yeah.
But I think he died of sleep apnea, which is something I
Both
have
of us.
a touch
Both
of.
of us have, yeah.
We both have CPAP machines. We both sleep with CPAP machines. So I don't think they had CPAP machines back then, but
I don't know, but I think I remember when he passed, because I mean he was, even at my age, he was like Barry Sanders. Like, you just remember like all those big highlights of him just wrecking shop,
Yep.
and then like he just passed way too young. I remember the sports world kind of just stopped when he passed. That was that was a hard one, I think, for the sports world.
Yep. But he played his college football at Tennessee. He signed with the Memphis Showboats of the USFL and played 2 seasons with them in 84 and 85. He was the 4th overall pick in the 1984 supplemental draft by the NFL, selected by the Philadelphia Eagles. So he went on to play for the Eagles from 1985 to 1992, and then the Green Bay Packers from 1993 to 98. He won Super Bowl 31 with the Packers, and then he retired. Then he came out of retirement to play 1 more season with the Carolina Panthers in 2000. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006. And let's see, finally, defensive tackle Warren Sapp turns 51 years old today.
Wow.
He played his college football at Miami of Florida. He was the 12th overall pick in the 1995 NFL draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played for the Buccaneers from 95 to 2003, won Super Bowl 36 with the Bucs, and then went on to play for the Oakland Raiders from 2004 to 2007. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2013.
So 3 Hall of Famers.
Yep.
Share birthdays.
There was actually a 4th one today, and I ran across his name, but I didn't recognize the name. Not that I shouldn't have included him in this, but there's a lot of people that have birthdays today, and I just picked out some of the ones that I'm familiar with. So those are the 3 that I picked out today. So now we're going to move on to obituaries. This is where we take a moment to honor those who made the world of football a better place. Our first one is that of Teddy Washington, a running back in the NFL for only one season, has passed away at the age of 78. Washington played college football at Colorado and at San Diego State. He was selected in the 13th round of the 1968 NFL Draft by the Cincinnati Bengals. Washington played in one game for the Bengals in 1968. After his playing career, he changed his name to Sultan Abdus Salam, and he was the father of the 1994 Heisman Trophy winner, Rashaan Salam.
Our next obituary is that of Mike D'Amato, a defensive back in the NFL for one season, has passed away at the age of 80. D'Amato played college football at Hofstra and was selected in the 10th round of the 1968 NFL Draft by the New York Jets. He played only one season in the NFL, but it ended with a victory for the Jets and D'Amato in Super Bowl III over the Baltimore Colts.
Well, if you only had to play one season,
Shoot, and you got a Super
what
Bowl
a
out
way
of
to
it?
end it. Yeah. All right. Our next obituary is that of Steve Junker, an end in the NFL for 5 seasons. He has passed away at the age of 88. Junker played college football at Xavier of Ohio and was selected in the 4th round of the 1957 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions. He played in Detroit from 1957 to 1960, winning an NFL title with the Lions in 1957. But he did miss the 58 season due to a knee injury. Junker also played for the Washington Redskins in 1961 and 1962, and he is a member of the Xavier University Athletic Hall of Fame.
And our final obituary this week is that of Jim Hyten, a defensive lineman in the Canadian Football League for 13 seasons, has passed away at the age of 79. Hyten began his CFL career with the British Columbia Lions in 1969. He also played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers from 1970 to 1978 and for the Hamilton Tiger Cats from 1979 to 1980. He finished his playing career with the Montreal Alouettes in 1981. He was inducted into the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame in 2016.
And I did a little research. I was trying to see if he won any Grey Cups with any of these teams, and he did not. It's
Bang.
there was a time when Edmonton was winning all the Grey Cups at
Yeah.
that time, but yeah, no Grey Cups for Jim Hyten, but quite a career he had there. All right, upcoming events calendar. Saturday, January 3rd is the Rice Bowl, the Japanese X League Championship game, which will feature the Panasonic Impulse versus the Fujitsu Frontiers. On Sunday, January 7th, the FCS Championship game in Frisco, Texas, South Dakota State versus Montana. On Monday, January 8th, the FBS College Football National Championship game in Houston. Sunday, February 4th, the Pro Bowl games in Orlando. Yuck. And finally, on Sunday, February 11th, Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
Man, we are less than 2 months away
Yep.
from a Super Bowl. Goodness gracious, how time is about to fly. With 3 weeks left in the regular season and then 3 weeks of playoffs, it's going to be absolute craziness.
Well, they just awarded Super Bowl 61 to Los Angeles. Do you think 62 is going to wind up going to Las Vegas, so they're just going to keep bouncing back between those two for a while?
I hope not. Because I mean, Tennessee's getting a new stadium soon.
Are they?
I think they approved that stadium they're going to try to build there in Nashville. I feel like they would have to be somewhere down the line, whether that's 62, 63.
Yeah.
They'll probably host a Super Bowl. But I'm sure Vegas will be back in the mix. They're probably going to want to go back to your Allegiance and back to your SoFi's. Those are going to be your
Right.
new, like the early days of the NFL where it seemed like it just kept going back between the Rose Bowl and the Superdome. And even the Superdome hasn't had one in a few years. So I'm wondering if they'll go back to the Superdome at some point.
And what about the AT&T Stadium there in Dallas?
Oh, see, yeah, there's another one, Jerry World.
Yeah, that was going to be the big Super Bowl location for a long time, and they haven't had one.
I'll tell you what, we've seen AT&T Stadium. It's a nice stadium.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm more excited. I would love to go see SoFi. And I would even Allegiant Stadium I got to check out. But I think Allegiant Stadium is more AT&T Stadium. I think SoFi is just so unique. I want to go check that out so bad. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we close out today's show?
Nope, we should be good.
Okay. Well, that's all for this week. If you folks learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also follow the World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address there is at TWOF Kalamazoo for like all those things. You can find those down in the description below. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube channel. Just search YouTube for the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. So please spread the word and subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm checking him into a mental asylum for that laugh.
And that's where we'll be broadcasting from next week.